and also, you know, a close game in their first encounter as well. The question is, can they do that against the team that has looked absolutely certain favourites the way the tournament's gone so far?
Yeah, we've been through the group stage here in Split, and now it's down to the final four. Brazil, winners of Group B, taking on Mexico, runners-up in Group A. Later this afternoon, the other semi-final sees Group A winners Germany against the tournament host and second-place team from Group B, Croatia. We've had 6 pretty entertaining group games, 4 of them decided by single figures, Lloyd. The 2 that weren't saw Brazil dominate, beating Tunisia by 26, Croatia by 27. How did Mexico go about closing that gap today?
Well, it's all about tempo control today for me. Mexico, they don't have the depth of the Brazilian team. They don't have the firepower offensively through the 12-man roster, but what they do have is a couple of exceptional players. First and foremost, Paco Cruz, who's just been incredible so far in this tournament, alongside Gustavo Ayllón, the veteran former Real Madrid big man. They will know, Mexico, they must control the way the game goes up and down. They do not want a fast pace. They want it to be slow. They want it to be a half-court game. That's really their only chance here today.
Mexico impressive through 3 quarters against Germany before slipping in the 4th. They shot the better percentages from the floor in that game, but relied heavily on the stars Paco Cruz and Gustavo Ayllón. Not much help from the bench. And with that lack of strength and depth, we wondered if they could go again 24 hours later in a must-win matchup with Russia. And boy, did they dispel those concerns. Hustle and energy crucial. They didn't shoot the ball well, but they grabbed 18 offensive rebounds, double their opponents. They forced 20 turnovers, and that led to 19 extra shots from the field.
Well, there you said it. Those effort plays are what has got Mexico through to this point. Can they do it again? That is the question. And can they do it against a team which, you know, arguably is the most talented here in Split?
Yeah, Brazil have simply been brilliant so far. Just as impressive against Croatia as they were against Tunisia. They shot 65% inside, 45% on the perimeter, 5 scorers in double figures against the hosts. Another couple of 8 points as well, 28 assists, 5 different players getting at least 3, 11 steals. They have just been the ultimate team at both ends of the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get on to individuals later. The thing that stood out to me, you know, Vitor Benítez felt like he's been underused. You know, he's been able to get some big rest. He actually leads Brazil in minutes played so far in the tournament, but 23 a game. So that shows you how well they've been able to spread along the minutes, and more impressively, how many players they've had great performances from.
With the 2 sets of players out on the floor, we'll pause for just a few minutes now for the 2 national anthems. And it's a two-time world champion and four-time continental champion against another former champion of the Americas. Brazil against Mexico in the first semi-final of this Olympic qualifying tournament at the Palladium Arena in Split. As we take a look at your officiating team for this semi-final, Mexico actually have the top three players in this tournament for efficiency. As we take a look at their key stars here, center Gustavo Ayon, scorer Paco Cruz, and under-the-radar rebounder Fabian Jaimez. And we wondered if their veteran starters might tire playing back-to-back days, but they have only got better. They got better in the second half against Russia. 35-year-old point guard Paul Stoll finishing with 11.6 steals in that game. Ayon 11 points, 7 boards, 6 assists, and Cruz finishing with 21 points, 14 of those, Lloyd, coming after the break.
Yeah, well, you know, that starting five for Mexico is everything, but this is the jewel in the crown for the Mexican offense. Coming up a strong season in Turkey, Paco Cruz, he's responsible for 34% of the scoring for Mexico, and if you include assists, you know, that ups it to 47% of the offense comes from him alone. That doesn't include the offense he creates that might not go down as an assist.
Omar Quintero, the man who leads Mexico from the bench. As we go to Brazil, 4 of the 5 starters against Croatia scored in double figures. Hafa Hetzheimer, 20 points. Bruno Caboclo, 17 points, 8 boards. Leo Mendel, 14 points. Hafaluz, 10, as well as 4 steals. Varejao with 11 points off the bench as well. Marcelino Huertas, 8 assists in just 18 minutes off the bench. They're so well balanced, and they didn't even need much from their sharpshooter Vitor Benite in that game.
Yeah, well, Benite is going to come off the bench again. This Brazilian team is really deep, as we've said. You know, so many weapons for them. Benite, the current Basketball Champions League Final 8 MVP, and to show you how efficient he is at the moment a member of that 50-40-90 club. 50% from the field, 44% for 3, 100% from the free throw line here in Split.
Brazil led by the Croatian head coach Aco Petrovic, who's done it all, played at the '84 Olympics in Los Angeles and the World Cup in '82 and '86, and an interesting subplot between him and the man on the other bench, Lloyd.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're not saying that, you know, Coach Petrovic is old, but he used to coach Coach Quintero for Mexico way back in 2006 in the Italian second division. So 2 coaches that know each other well. Coach Petrovic seems to have a connection to every other team we play at the moment. Obviously, last time out, it's that link against Croatia, the man who's coached Croatia on 3 separate occasions. Now he also has a link into Mexico.
And the veteran coach with the veteran set of players. A similar story in that regard for both of these teams here today in terms of having so many veterans that are doing so well at this tournament. But both teams have now had 2 clear days to rest and to prep. Mexico, an Olympic bronze medalist at the very first edition of the basketball tournament in 1936. Brazil aiming to compete at their 16th Olympic Games. Mexico hoping to get back there for the first time in 45 years. Brazil, a 3-time bronze medalist, most recently at Tokyo in '64. It is an all-Americas rivalry, a clash of South versus Central, 2 former Americas champions, both chomping at the bit to take that ticket to Tokyo 2020. And the winner this afternoon earns a place in tomorrow's final against either Germany or hosts Croatia. Mexico will start with the ball, and certainly start as underdogs here, but do not write them off. They're a team that shows plenty of quality and character and tenacity and has the experience of guys like Gustavo Ayon, who sets the tone early on.
Yeah, I love just checking out the matchups to see the way the game's going to go. Look, starts on Paco Cruz, so that's why he's out there, but great steal from Stoll.
Paul Stoll checks the rear view mirror, races down the floor away from Marcelino Huertas and scores. The first 4 points for Mexico, and Stoll, who had 6 steals in the last game.
Yeah, we don't see that very often. Somebody taking it away from Huertas. You know, this end of the floor, that Jaimes versus Caboclo matchup is going to be key as well.
Huertas trying to respond with a 3 off the mark. Paco Cruz brings the ball over center court. The opportunity for this start for Mexico to get even better, and Paco Cruz is there to squeeze it in on the offensive rebound. A 6-0 surge for Mexico after a minute. And Brazil looking for their first score here as they move it across to the far side, off the mark again, this time from the 41-year-old Alex. Mexico really could make it a magic start if they can score again here. Stoll swings it around to Ion. He's in the mood, bursts down the baseline to the corner, turns it over though, trying to find their main offensive weapon, Paco Cruz. Lose. Hetzheimer gets free for the 3. The closeout late by Ion, and that's what Hetzheimer's been doing all tournament.
And that's going to be the tough matchup for Ion, trying to step out to the outside. Mexico need him to dominate in the interior. Now he's got to do a bit of both on that end of the floor.
Stoll bounce pass, fist in at pace to Ion, who goes to the rack to score again.
Yeah, and that's what he can do. He said, you know, he's going to try and dominate the paint. Brazil will try and drag him away from the basket a bit at this end, try and force him to play some defense, either tire him or draw fouls.
Mexico back up by 5. Marcelino Huertas. Hetzheimer creates space for him. He misses another 3. So a couple of misses on the outside for Huertas. Stoll guarded by Huertas, caught in the gravity of Ion. Far side it goes, low catch, adjustment, 3-point shot off the mark from Giron, but an offensive rebound again. Jaimes, who's been the key to that, on the boards for Mexico, and Paco Cruz makes the most of the hustle from his teammate.
Well, if you haven't seen Mexico play, this first 3 minutes is a pretty good example. They don't back down from anybody. You see the defensive Stoll on Huertas. Early on, he gets a steal. They've got the creativity of Cruz, but then the effort plays as well. You know, Jaimes on the glass and just solid defense from them. They've helped Brazil to just 3 points in 3 minutes. We said Mexico won a low-scoring game the way they've started. You know, it's going to be a high-scoring one in their favor.
Hey, problema es no dejan 1 y 2 chutar, ¿ok? Pero también hay que defender algo. Métenos 10 puntos en 3 minutos, joder. Mover la bola, mover la bola. Vamos a hacer... vamos a hacer 4...
It's the team who've not been to the Olympic Games in nearly half a century that have made the flying start in this semi-final. Mexico up by 7 points. Gustavo Ion, the central pillar. But so much good happening around him as well. The likes of Stoll, Jaimes, Paco Cruz. And Brazil, who've dominated their first 2 games of this tournament, have been given a bit of a heat check. Marcelino Huertas. It's been a tough start for him personally. He's 0 of 2 from the field and a turnover. And foul this time on Stoll, who's picked his pocket once. It's the first foul of this game for either team, 3 minutes in. Caboclo had a superb game too. This is on the outside here in the semi-final, but Hafa loses there with the offensive rebound, the first of the game for Brazil. Stoll. Now Paco Cruz, Ion after Paco drew the double team. Ion kicks it back out to Jaimes. He misses.
And Brazil are going to try and get the ball out of Paco Cruz's hands. Aggressive on that pick and roll coverage. for somebody else from Mexico to beat you. Probably the way to play them, but guys like Jaimes can make those shots.
Marcelino Huertas to the far side to Alex, and the 41-year-old from distance gets Brazil within 2.
He just does a bit of everything, Alex. Tremendous defender, gets to the basket, is so aggressive, but also has that, you know, solid perimeter jump shot as well.
Gustavo Ayon. Opportunity to go one-on-one with Hetzheimer here. Edge of the paint, using his body. And he started in a confident mood, but he misses that shot. And there's Jaimes with the offensive rebound again. The leading offensive rebounder in this tournament. And Stoll can't hit the 3.
Caboclo's got to do a better job keeping him off the glass. You know, that's a matchup that Brazil should win. But Jaimes has won pretty much every matchup he's gone against.
Here's Luz. Caboclo looking to post up against Jaimes. Luz spots a path through the paint and slices to the basket to score.
Yeah, bonus points for Brazil. Luz is out there for his defense more than anything. Just the energy that he brings. Good recognition from him, though.
He's got a couple of baskets quickly now. One off the first offensive rebound and then the dribble drive. And Brazil are level from 7 down. Ayon over the top of Hetzheimer, can't score again. He's taking plenty of shots, Gustavo Ayon.
Yeah, I mean, Brazil can afford to be physical down there because they've got bodies that can come in. They've got a lot of guys on the bench can get to go against Ayon.
Alex against Paco Cruz. Back out, Hetzheimer, the three-point shooter, knocks this one down.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the way to attack Mexico. Try and post Cruz or go at Cruz, force him to play defense. See if you can wear him down, and often what he'll do, he'll drag, just, you know, bring the other defenders to you because they try to protect Cruz, and that's just going to get open shots in other spots.
No pasa nada, dale. Miren, hey, vamos a atacarle su next. Hey, vamos zipper. Hey, vamos zipper, pero te quedas aquí y lees aquí. Gustavo va a hacer un chorrol ¿ok? En el zipper. Y Gus, tienes aquí a Gabriel y tienes aquí a Paul. Has estado solo ahí, ¿ok? Te fijas aquí y Gustavo va a tener este aquí. Hey, pero es más en el Iverson.
Well, Mexico understandably disappointed. They've conceded the last 10 points without reply, from 7 up to 3 down. Hafalu's key to that with a couple of baskets. And also the three-point shooting of Hafa Hetzheimer, getting the bench up on their feet. He's knocked down both of his three-point attempts. He's now 7 of 11 on the outside in this tournament.
He shot it great. What a response out of the timeout for Brazil. Down, 10-0 run coming out of it. You know, great work from Anso Perovic. And now will Mexico have the same impact out of their timeout? No substitutions from either team so far in this one.
Stoll to Paco Cruz, working with Ayon. Tried to find the man on the baseline in Jaimes. The ball was kicked.
It's that same play that Mexico love to go to. Zipper, just, you know, Cruz starts low, comes high, and it's basically just him and Ayon, action together.
Giron to inbound from the baseline. Back to Paco Cruz against Alex, the 8-time Brazilian Defender of the Year. Across it goes to Paul Stoll from way beyond the setting sun, and showing that the sun has far from set on these Mexican veterans.
Paul Stoll loves a big occasion. He loves this challenge of going against a guy like Marcelino Huertas.
There goes Marcelino Huertas looking for a bit of payback. Hetzheimer, he is feeling it. Hand in the face from Ayon. Misses that one, his first miss of the game.
Yeah, it wasn't a great shot, kind of fading away. Every other one's been in rhythm for him.
There's a foul on the far side on Hafa, the first on Brazil. Neck and neck, 13-13, final 4 minutes of the first quarter.
Said about the tempo, it suits Mexico right now, even though they haven't scored for a while. You know, it's been difficult for them. You know, this kind of style, plays into their hands more than Brazil's. They'll be delighted with the way this first quarter's gone.
First miss of the game for Paco Cruz. Hetzheimer had a look at the rim for three. Passed it on to Hafaluz instead. Now Alex up against Giron, posting up again. Into the lane, knocked away. Into the corner it goes for the open three, though. It's 0 of 3 on the outside for Marcelino Huertas. Cruz towards the strike, pulls up, knocks it down over the top of Caboclo.
You can't give back a Cruz that much space coming off a ball screen. It is absolutely automatic if he's got that much time and space.
Hafaluz getting too quickly to the rim. Jaime's too late coming across to challenge the shot.
Excellent start from Luz, both ends of the floor. He's done a pretty good job in his matchup with Cruz, and I like how aggressive he is on offense.
Stoll working behind the frame of Ion. Ion back out to the near corner. Paco Cruz hit 3 of his 4 shots so far. Draws Luz back out a couple of feet beyond the three-point line. Misses that one. Marcelino Huertas swiftly down the floor. Luz running the floor in transition again. Scores once more. That's 8 points for him in the first 7.5 minutes.
Great recognition from Huertas to hit him in stride, though. You know, said Huertas has struggled with his shot, but what he is as an excellent distributor. It's interesting because the way Mexico are playing against Huertas is to give him the three. He goes out now and Iago comes in. Be interesting to see if they play him the same way and if any of these Brazilian guards start to just knock down shots in that spot.
Yeah, Huertas has averaged 7 assists in just 16 minutes. So far this tournament goes to the bench. Iago, the 22-year-old, comes in, had 8 assists in 25 minutes in the first game, 3 assists in just 8.5 minutes in the second game.
And the way Mexico have started, though, they're forcing the point guards for Brazil to be scorers, which is not their natural game. So I'm interested to see what Iago does.
Whoa, look at the foot moves from Gustavo Ion, turning the paint into a dance floor and drawing the foul.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see a replay on that one. I'd like to see it. Both Caboclo and Hetzheimer there challenging the shot. And this is what we talk about, the bodies that Brazil can bring in. Hetzheimer goes out and a veteran presence in Emerson Varela comes in. You know, another guy who can really bang and make it difficult for Ion.
Ion, the captain of Mexico, with 4 points already. Average 14.5 points, 11 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds, 3.5 assists a game as well in the group stage. I want to be a little more efficient from the field in this semi-final, though. Only shot 46% over the first 2 games. And he's going to get a take 2 here.
Brazil in their first 2 games just didn't put a foot wrong. Almost perfect performances from them. We haven't seen that today. Interesting, they've had 2 days off, the same as Mexico. This almost seems like it's affected their rhythm a little, the Brazilians. I think we got to give some credit to Mexico for that as well and the way they've played, but Brazil don't seem the same fluid unit we saw in the opening 2 days.
Ion to try and tie the game. 2 minutes of the first quarter to play. Misses again. Caboclo the rebound. We've got a first look at the 22-year-old point guard, Iago. Stoll riding his back. Iago comes back out. Finds Vitor Benite, who's in. Alex desperately calling for it up against Paco Cruz. Again, spins baseline under the hoop. Attacking strong against Ion as well. Alex Garcia. You just can't quite believe what you're seeing when the 41-year-old goes at the basket like that.
As I said earlier, just does everything that you want, Alex. Plays defense. Here he is now in the post. He's hit a 3. And I like this tactic from Brazil. I think it's super smart of them to really attack with him in the low post, put the pressure on the Mexican defense.
He's averaged 7.5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals a game so far. Prior to this semi-final, he's threatening to bring an even bigger stat line contributing in so many categories in this one.
This is an interesting time for Mexico. Ion's gone out. Amigo has come in. He struggled a bit, Amigo, but in the second half of the last game, really did kind of come up with some big baskets and some key play for them in that victory for them over Russia. You know, I think felt like he was a key because he was able to kind of produce a little of what Ion can do. They're going to need a good game from Amigo here.
And Gustavo Ion, the 36-year-old, needing a break. What he has done is avoid picking up any fouls so far in the 8 minutes he's played. And just cleaning the floor here before we see Paul Stoll at the line to try and halve this 4-point deficit.
Well, Paul Stoll kind of goes under the radar a little because of the way Paco Cruz has played, but he has also been excellent outside of the numbers. The way he controls tempo, the way, you know, both ends of the floor helps this team. Is a really nice compliment to Cruz, and you've got to say, like, he plays. I'm impressed with the way he lets Cruz be the focal point and plays off the back of him really well as well.
He goes to the bench, the man who plays for Hapoel Tel Aviv in the Israeli league. Brazil by 2, Yago to Caboclo. The former NBAer shifts it towards the corner. Alex is in the mood again, spins away, and the foul is called on Estrada.
They've changed the matchups. They're keeping Cruz away from Alex because he is posting up heavily against all these Mexicans.
Here's Benite, onto Yago. Varejao lurking on the perimeter, gets it now. 3 on the shot clock here for Yago, who can move quickly into the hands of Varejao. Tough catch for him, made the shot difficult. Caboclo battling on the boards, fresh 14. He takes it over the top of the defense. Mexico get away with it. Amigo, touch pass onto Mendez for 3. It's been a tough tournament for him. Yago fouled by Estrada in transition at center court. He wants more than the regular foul.
There's a lot of defenders back. I'm not sure he's going to get that call. Caboclo's the first time we've seen him use the size advantage he has over Jaime on the offensive glass. He got the rebound and he had great position to be able to finish as well, but just didn't really get his balance to go over the top. That matchup, Jaime's listed 198. Caboclo is listed at 202, but it seems a lot more than 4 centimeters between the two.
Benite off the crossover knocks down the 3. Brazil by 5. Orlando Mendez. Behind the back to Amigo, halfway down, back out for him. Yago not hanging around, swiftly down the floor. Varejao on the trail. Off to Alex, the 2 veterans combine. Here's Varejao again. He looks for some Samba showtime, but turns it over. Paco Cruz. Alex all over him. Playing like a man possessed right now, leading the fast break as well. Caboclo down the runway, fouled midair.
That's the tempo that Brazil want. That's the way Brazil want the game to go. Up and down like this is in their favor rather than Mexico's, that's for sure. And what we also saw is Amigo, great opportunities to him to finish, which would have given him a little respite rather than this game tearing up and down as it did. He missed the little easy basket, and now it's a foul and 2 shots for Brazil.
3.9 seconds in which Mexico can try and respond before the quarter is done. Down by 6. Paco Cruz Not too far off. And Mexico aren't too far off Brazil, but they did have a 7-point lead early on. Brazil have quickly turned the tide on the Adriatic coast, and they take a 6-point advantage into the first break, 24-18.
Just felt like those last 2 minutes when Mexico went to their bench showed, you know, the kind of sleeping giant right now that Brazil is. They haven't got that rhythm, they haven't got that pace that we've seen in the opening couple of games, but it's right there. That is the challenge for Mexico, to always just kind of hang on to this Brazilian team.
And we saw the shooting numbers there, 3-pointers. Pretty much the difference right now. Brazil making 4 of 9, Mexico just 1 of 8. And we saw as well the missed 3 in transition towards the end of that quarter from Mexico. That Brazil then turned into a fast break scoring opportunity. It's fine margins here between two fine teams.
The only thing in Mexico's favor, it feels very much like their game against Russia at the moment, where they're kind of hanging on, they're doing okay, they haven't really got Paco Cruz going fully. But they're there or thereabouts, and I think that's important for them. The game's going the way they want it. They just got to try and, you know, control that tempo, get good quality shots, not pick up fouls, and then try and get that big burst in the second half, like they did in that one.
Yeah, Paco Cruz only had 7 points at half-time in that one. The coach said he'd end up on 25. He wasn't too far off. It was 21, and they know that he's going to have a hot streak at some point.
Yeah, I think that the things to look out for Mexico as well in their 2 games, 76 and 72. That's what they've scored. One was a win, one was a loss, but pretty even around that number. Look at the scoreboard now, 24 for Brazil. If they get up near 100, Mexico just don't have the horses to win that race. They need it to be slower. They need to try and hold on to the Brazilian offense.
Brazil start the second quarter with the ball as well, with Iago still on the floor at point guard. Benite giving him the ball back. Lucas Diaz is in as well. Marcelino Huertas, or Benite rather, trying to get free. Varejao, it's an offensive foul as Giron planted his feet and got bulldozed down to the deck.
Defense from Giron. He doesn't really contribute on the scoreboard very often, but it's plays like that he does too. You know, he'll hit an open 3. He isn't a playmaker for them, but he spaces the floor and then he comes up with big plays. The same way that Jaimes comes up with the rebounds, Giron comes up with defensive plays.
Second foul on Varejao, who's averaged 10 points, 5.5 rebounds in just 16.5 minutes at this tournament. And they could do with more from this man, Orlando Mendes. Bounce pass across to Stoll. Stoll takes the 3 over the top of Iago. And again, Mexico struggle on the outside, just 1 of 9 now. Varejao off to Iago. For the risky pass into the hands of Varejao.
Cover it from Iago. Good pass, but Mendes picks up the foul. But it was good defense from him to kind of recognize as well. It was a foul, yes, but it was nearly a steal.
Wide open 3 off the inbound, knocked down by Lucas Diaz.
Not sure what Mexico are doing there. Seems some confusion about what defense they were supposed to be playing, I think. I mean, they got no Cruz, they got no Ion on the floor right now.
Mendes has got to be a scorer for them, and shown he can do it at club level this season. Amigo taking on Varejao was on the 2 fouls, but that time an offensive foul against Daniel Amigo.
And this is what I'm saying about Amigo. He's got to give him something. Where is the offense coming from Mexico, as you said? You know, Mendes is probably that guy. And again, similar to the Russia game, they kind of forced it to the hands of Mendes to try and get him going. This is a guy who's averaged double figures in every competition that he's played for Mexico. So over the course of a competition like this, Mendes always seems to come up with the points. They're going back to the veteran. They are relying on him to create here.
Iago going through the gears, turning on the afterburners, catching Mexico cold, and Varejao with a catch and shooting the score.
If you're going to press Iago, you cannot let him beat 2 players in the backcourt. He's just playing into Brazilian hands.
3 assists in 3 minutes for him since coming in. Amigo misses the shot. And it will pop out of bounds and remain in Mexican possession.
I just feel Brazil are going to be happy with Mexico pounding the ball to the inside, with Daniel Amigo going against Anderson Varejao. I just don't believe that could be the way for Mexico to win this one.
James to the bench, Stoll inbounds. Amigo sets the high screen. Mendes will shoot again, misses once more. Orlando Mendes only 3 of 15 in this tournament now.
Iago's done an excellent job of lifting this tempo since he's come on as well. He's so quick with the ball.
Really impressive in the first game in particular when he had the 8 assists into Varejao. And he gets these shooters bounce and roll.
And again, even in the half court, the speed that Iago goes through the options from one to the other. That's what caught Mexico sleeping. He was too busy talking to the bench there and wasn't ready to play deep.
Mexico needing to call for the cavalry now. Paco Cruz and Gustavo Ayona coming back in. Brazil have ballooned the lead to 13 off the back of 4 assists in as many minutes from Iago.
Yeah, I'm sure the plan is to get those two lots of breathers, Ayon and Cruz, so that they're fresh and ready to go in the second half. But, you know, right now the plan's got to change because the lead is just step by step getting larger and larger.
Stoll finding Ayon, lovely bounce pass thread in the eye of the needle. Ayon straight to the basket and goes straight to the line.
No pass from Stoll. Poor defense from Brazil on that one. Late rotation from Mendel.
Ayon split his previous pair. Mexico 3 of 4 as a team. Ayon misses the first hit. The competition MVP when Mexico won the 2013 AmeriCup. Dominated an Argentina side that contained Luis Scola and Facu Campasso in the semi-finals.
Heady play from Mendel to tip it away.
All the way down the floor. Mendel can't get the bounce this time. Offensive rebound. Paco Cruz grabs it. Mexico looking down the floor in transition now. Giron, they're desperately in need of this 3, and they get it.
Yeah, the other reason they needed to make that, because any miss, Brazil are coming the other way in transition again. Now, with a score, look, now it's a 5-on-5 game. Now they can start to dig in on the defensive end.
Varejao. They move it nicely around the perimeter to Benite, who's their big-time hitman.
It's just great to watch. Ball movement from the Brazilians. Inside, outside, extra pass. Benite, so smooth.
If you're going to move it around, that's the one man whose hands you want the ball to end up in. He's 2 of 2 on the outside now for his 6 points. Lead back to 13. And from the strike, knocked down by Marco Ramos.
Well, Ramos has got to give him something. He's playing that 4 position. James is on the bench. We know you're not going to get the rebounding that James provides, but can he space the floor? Can he knock down those 3s?
Benite guarded by Stoll. Shot clock to 6. Benite checks it. Gets past Ayon as well, and far too easily, it seems, glides to the basket.
Yes, exactly. He almost walked to the basket, didn't he, Benite?
Paco Cruz trying to do the same. Tougher job for him, but exquisite offense nonetheless.
And a Brazilian mistake on defense. Messing up the coverage against Cruz, but again, the speed at which they can get a shot at the other end. Iago's just caused so many problems off the drive. Is that number 2 on Paco Cruz as well, I believe. You know, anytime he can try and attack, Iago is ready to do it.
Yeah, second foul on Cruz, having just taken his tally to 8 points. Varejao to the bench for Brazil. Iago to the line. 3 team fouls apiece after just 4 minutes of the second quarter. Brazil tied the largest lead of the game again at 13. Ion up against Mariano. Lost it, trying to get into the paint. Here come Brazil in transition again. Options left and right. Mendel who gets the pass from Benite and he's fouled.
Ramos on the foul. To the monitor, not sure why.
Will upgrade defensive foul from normal to unsportsmanlike.
Possible unsportsmanlike foul on this. I didn't see it personally.
Okay, nothing. Okay, it was clear play.
You get the same play?
Yeah, same play. Okay, thank you.
It was a quick one from the officials. They looked at it once and they realised, yeah, nothing in it. Ramos just, you know, still play for the ball.
It is a 14 foul, a regular foul on Mexico, and a chance for Brazil to make this the out-and-out largest lead of the game, but up to 15. Leo Mendel, who's there. He's been a little under the radar as well as a key player for Brazil. 12 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2 steals. Hitting 8 of his 14 shots over the group stage.
I mean, it's typical. It shows you the depth of this Brazilian team. This guy averaged double figures in the ACB this year in Spain. Barely used or barely needed, really, in a couple of the games from Brazil.
Paco Cruz. 15 the deficit now, approaching the midway point of the second quarter. Gustavo Ion determined to get to the basket, and he made it happen.
Aggressive on the pick and roll to get the hands out of Paco Cruz. It does give that space to Ion to have a big game.
Yago, Mendel disappointed the ball didn't come to him on the near side. Yago up high towards Mariano, turns it over. Mendel battles on the hustle play to get it back. It's dished off towards Mariano, and he'll go to the line.
Fouls racking up for Mexico. I mean, Estrada's already got 3. That's another one, yeah, against Ramos. What's that, number 2 for him? So a lot starting to come for Mexico. As long as he's not against Ion, I think Cruz is smart enough. He'll stay out there anyway. They don't really want Stoll to pick up fouls because he relies on being that kind of aggressive defensive player trying to pick up steals.
Varejão, the only player on 2 fouls so far for Brazil. They were well supported here in Split. And they're happy that the lead is back to a joint game high 15. Ion to Ramos. Mexico could do with a big final 5 minutes to this first half. Ion, 7 points for him so far. Mariano all over him, sticking to him like glue. Ion misses the shot and then beats his palm in frustration with his fist.
James has been out for a long time. He got a couple of offensive rebounds early. I think Mexico could do with some extra possessions he might be able to provide.
Yago looking back for Benite. He's hit a couple already. Passes on responsibility to Yago. He's called for the travel.
Yago's got to look to score a bit more. In the same way that Mexico started to just leave Fuertes, they're doing the same for Yago now. So they need to try and look for their own points.
Scoreline in the arena is 42-27. You're seeing 43 on your picture as Paco Cruz knocks down a big outside shot. So a 12-point margin, 42-30. Benite prodding and probing and penetrating the paint and getting all the way to the basket, falling down to his backside and finishing.
No, he's known for the ability to shoot the ball from the outside. Benitez showed the versatility in his game there.
4 of 4 from the field for 10 points. Stoll hesitates on the 3, passes on the responsibility to Giron. Hit one from the other side, misses this one. An offensive rebound from Ramos, though, and a fresh 14. Paco Cruz on to Paul Stoll. He will take this one. A couple of misses on the outside. And Mexico only 3 of 14 from deep.
Well, Giron is playing that Jaime's role of trying to crash the glass and cause problems on the inside. He's done an excellent job. And watch, just gets to the inside of... who was on the foul? Lucas Diaz? Yeah. All right.
And they get the score, the third chance opportunity. Ramos, as Mexico try and keep it close.
We just didn't see Brazil make these kind of errors or, you know, be beaten in this way in their opening 2 games. Out of bounds play for just a wide open layup.
Contested outside shot from Benitez, his first miss of the game.
And it's plays like that. So Mendel, look, he's committed a foul. No need. They've got 4 guys back. It's not in transition. He's never going to steal it. Well, Giron's got it. You know, Stoll all under control, no problem. You've committed a foul. Paul Stoll gets to go to the other end. He gets to shoot free throws now.
Yeah, both teams at the foul limit pretty early in this second quarter. Still close to 3 minutes to play. And Paul Stoll at the line to try and make it a 10-point game, with Brazil having led by as many as 15.
So far in this tournament for Brazil, we've seen Jorginho, we've seen Iago, and we've seen Huertas at the point. None of those 3 on the floor at the moment. So it looks like Lutz might go to the point. Maybe he's a bit more of a scorer. That means Mexico can't kind of leave the point guard coming off ball screens the way they have so far in this game.
An 11-point margin, just 1 of 2 at the line again for Mexico. They're 4 of 8 as a team. Here is Luz moving it on to Benitez. Benitez lost it. And now Luz is left on an island. Bounce pass into Paco Cruz. He's not going to miss in transition from there. And Mexico make it a single-digit margin.
Great pass from Paul Stoll. Thought he was going to pull up and shoot the 3, but smart decision. He, again, plays second fiddle to Cruz. Good play from him. Mexico just hanging around, Can't shake him off.
13 points now for Paco Cruz. Brazil called the timeout. Mexico is showing their elite mentality. A team that you feel can scratch and claw to keep any game close against any opponent. They just have that ability to dig deep. And they're pulling it back here again, having trailed by 15. They've closed the gap to 9, and they have, at the heart of it all, got their elite scorer, Paco Cruz.
13 points for Cruz. It's been a quiet 13. 4 assists, 4 rebounds as well. Just another marvelous game for the man who led the Turkish league in scoring this past season.
He's the leading scorer at this tournament here in Split. No suggestion that that will change after the semi-finals. Luz lost it. Paul stole another steal, but he couldn't quite complete it. Luz recovers. Shot clock down to 5, though. Benitez edging his way, but faced by Ion. Passes on. They get an open 3 at the buzzer, but loses off the mark. And Brazil are knocked out of their rhythm and confidence.
I mean, every minute is important, but these 2 minutes here could be key. Can Mexico continue just to get a little bit of rhythm going? Cut into this lead here before the half.
It's Mexico with an extra spring in their step right now. Stoll on to Paco Cruz, guarded by Caboclo. Gets her hand up in the face of Paco Cruz, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, Caboclo's got 10 centimeters, long arms on, you know, he's right there. It doesn't matter to Cruz, though.
16 first-half points. Benite answers right back, though.
What a matchup that is, them two going against each other. Benite and Cruz. So Alex has said, that's enough. I'm taking this guy now. I'll slow him down.
Stoll almost caught in possession by Luz. Regains the handle on the ball. Wants to go back at Luz. Ion trying to help him do so, but tight and congested in the paint. They end up with the open three, though, for Giron, and he hits it. It's a 6-point game heading into the final minute of the first half, with Brazil having led by 15. Benite gets the handoff from Mariano. He's got 13 points. Make it 16. He ties level with Paco Cruz.
Oh, those two are going at each other. Just elite guard play right now off the ball screens. Superb outside shooting, both showing the ability to get to the basket.
Stoll underneath the hoop, looking back out, finds Ion, lost it, recovered it on the baseline, stepped on the line, though he's pushed by Mariano.
So close for Brazil on back-to-back possessions, but mistakes both times. The previous one, Luz plays great defense all over Paul Stoll. Then at the last minute, for some reason, runs and tries to help against Ion, leaving Stoll open. That's where the shot eventually came from. And then here, you know, Luz has control of Paul Stoll. He's trying to find an opening. He can't. Mariano's just got to stay with Ion. He doesn't need any help. Don't give Ion the opportunity to get an opening.
Ion back at the line. There's only 1 of 4 before that one. He's got 8 points in this first half. A miss, but an offensive rebound and a fresh 14 hit. And that means only a 9-second differential between shot and game clock. Both sets of players, both benches, both head coaches appealing.
But nobody's happy with a goal. If it's a kick, so it's going to be a fresh 14 as well. It means this will be the final possession. What an opportunity for Mexico. So if they could hit a 3 here, make it a 5-point game, could be a big win for them.
Omar Quintero calling the timeout to try and draw something up for the final 12 seconds of the first half.
Regresas por José. ¿Quién sacan? Gabriel. Marco. Gustavo aquí. Empiezo por un momento más.
You can see what Brazil felt about it.
I got to say, I'm Team Brazil on that call. They didn't move the leg, you know. Alex, he has to stand up. Like, he can't move his leg out of the way. The pass went straight into it. There was no movement as far as I was concerned. But, you know, it's 11 seconds now. Brazil need a stop. No fouls to give. If anyone in foul trouble is the other question. I need to be careful of. No, well, a couple of guys on 2, but none of them are out there on the floor.
And as you say, the reason Brazil are so disappointed is because the kickball resets the shot clock to 14. There's only 11.9 remaining, so Brazil robbed of a chance to try and produce one final offense of their own before the halftime break. Providing, of course, Mexico can keep the ball and create a shot right at the end of the second quarter. Paco Cruz takes it early, can't hit the 2. And there may well still be a chance for Brazil. Alex, he's going to heave it from center court. He has done everything here in Split at this tournament. The 41-year-old, eternal youth on the Adriatic.
Wow, well, I'm not sure Paco Cruz what he was thinking. He took it so early in the clock and gave this opportunity for Alex. What a turnaround that could be. maybe they wanted to go early because they're so good on the offensive glass. Mexico give themselves a chance to get another possession, but you know, a breakdown for them. We've seen it from both sides in this semi-final here, and Alex stepping up big time for Brazil.
The run-off buzzer beater at the end of the first half for a man who never ceases to amaze. Brazil up by 11 at halftime, 53-42.
Well, in the timeout, we're saying Mexico hit a 3, it's a 5-point game, and now look at that. That's what, you know, we talk about when we say these last minutes so important. The lead just stretched out now for Brazil.
And how ultra efficient have Brazil been in every single game from every distance and angle in this tournament. Incredible percentages, 53 first half points, 5 extra assists than Mexico as well, despite having the 1 extra turnover.
Yeah, it's interesting. In the other games, it's felt like the pace of the game has been really high, and you know, you feel that Brazil have had big halves, whereas in this one, it doesn't feel that way. A strange thing to say, they've got 53 points in that first half. They're on the way to 100 plus, close to 110 points here, and yet you feel the game probably tempo-wise hasn't been too far off what Mexico would want. Just shows you the quality of Brazil, and especially Benitez in a half court. He's still been so efficient.
Yeah, 16 points for Vitor Benitez to tie level with the 16 of Paco Cruz from Mexico. Both teams with a big offensive weapon. Mexico started really strong with a 7-point lead in the opening 3 minutes. Brazil turned it around though with a 10-0 run off the back of a timeout. And that, I suppose, makes the 53-point halftime haul for Atso Petrovic's team even more impressive, that they only scored 3 points in the first 3 minutes, so 50 in the last 17. So many different contributors, as well as the 16 of Benitez. They've had 9 from Alex Garcia, including that incredible shot to finish the half. 8 from Rafa Luz, 6 from Rafa Hetzheimer. And they're just shooting the ball so efficiently. 9 3-pointers at 56% accuracy in that first half.
I think Brazil as well have rotated the way they would have wanted in that first 20 minutes. You know, probably the way they would have planned it before the game, get everybody some rest, get everybody in. They've got a lot of guys now already with fresh legs to go in the second half. You think Hetzheimer, who you just mentioned, hit a couple of early threes, but then haven't really seen him too much. He's only played 8 minutes. Whereas the other way, Mexico probably too many minutes for some of their key guys. Cruz 18, Giron 17, Ion 16 minutes. So I think each of those, probably a couple less, would have been the plan for Mexico to try and make a push in this second 20 minutes.
3-point shooting effectively the difference here. Both teams have taken 16. Brazil have hit 4 more though. Had Mexico hit the same mark, they'd be up by 1 at half-time. But Verajao and co showing they can do it on the interior as well, where they've shot at 64%, as well as 89% at the foul line. It was a tough start on the outside for Mexico. They did start to knock down a couple of threes late in the game, or in the first half, but Benitez's been doing it all game long. And then, of course, to put the exclamation mark on that point about the 3-point shooting, we saw Alex from center court right at the halftime buzzer. Brazil in the driver's seat at the break, leading Mexico by 11, 53-42.
Ripnik slices through the hard show. Oh, well, maybe they overpass. The 3 is good.
That is a thing of beauty.
as Dragic goes up the other. Whoa, what a block! Correa just got back in transition. He just outworked everybody. And when you're looking for something to inspire, this is what could do it.
Second half action underway here in the Alexander Nicholas Hall, and right away, Dobric reminds us that also he does have some hops as he comes in and catches the alley-oop pass and flushes it.
Looking at the rim on the catch. Nice
Grab
pass.
again. Oh, goodness me!
Dios mío. George Condon, the pick, the roll, the dunk in his face.
Wow. Yeah, you got to keep your hands up. And Solano avoids the foul. Oh! He hit the runway. How about that? And Serbia trying to stop the play with the reach.
We have walked this land for a long time. We know how far we've gone, and we're sure of how far we can go. Unity is not just a word here. It's not just a spirit in this sport. It's the way we all move. We are proud of our art, country, family, language, and culture. We are united by basketball.
Welcome to FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup 2022.
Welcome back to the Palladium Arena in Split as we take a look at the top scorers for their respective sides and the two players we talked about before the opening tip as the big offensive weapons have really stepped up in a big way.
Oh, absolutely. See Paco Cruz doing what he's done all tournament long and all season long, really. Another super efficient game from him. 7 of 11 from the field, 4 rebounds, 4 assists as well. You know, you just feel, even though, and similar to Benitez on the other side, neither of them the quickest players, but when they get to the basket, they're going at full speed without really looking like they're under any sort of duress whatsoever. Always playing with such control. Cruz, a beautiful touch around the ring on finishes, and then an elite shooter as well.
And the same could be said about this man, Vitor Benitez, who's tied level with the 16 points of Paco Cruz, 6 of 7 shooting, including 4 of 5 from downtown. He had a big game in the first game against Tunisia, but that was still only 15 points. This is already his biggest tally of the tournament, and it comes at half-time. But that's the balance of this Brazil team, isn't it? Get it to him if you need to, and he'll do the job, but there's always another option or two.
Not only is it come half time, it's come in 12 minutes. So he's got 16 points in 12 minutes. He's been incredible. You know, we see him just kind of walk into the basket, but it's the movement off the ball that makes Vitor Benitez so good. When he catches it, he's always got that first head start on the defender when he receives the pass, and from that moment, I mean, he's almost impossible to stop when he gets that little bit of a head start. So effective for him. What an opportunity, what one option for Brazil to bring him in off the bench when they weren't playing particularly well. And as we said, that, you know, the surprising thing for Brazil, I don't think they played very well, but they just haven't missed. You know, they've shot it so well, and even though they arguably haven't created the same opportunities in the other games, or as well as the other games, just their ability to make shots today has been elite.
And Cruz far from just a scorer, as you can see. He leads them in rebounds and assists as well. 16 points, 4 boards, 4 assists for Paco Cruz. The difference really between the two teams, Lloyd, is that Mexico need a big game from Paco Cruz. Brazil don't need a big game from Vitor Benitez, but one helps.
Yeah, absolutely. If Benitez doesn't play well, there's other guys that can step up for Brazil, as we've seen. You know, Hetzheimer can step up, Alex can step up, Huertas can step up, Iago can step up. You can almost go through any of their players. They're so deep. And that is a blessing for them for sure. But I think Brazil will probably be, in some ways, more frustrated than Mexico right now. Just the way they played. A lot of mistakes that we didn't see in those opening 2 games for them. You know, defensive breakdowns, just sloppy play offensively. And really, they've needed a performance from Benitez in that first half to steady the ship for them, the way that Mexico often do from Paco Cruz.
Yeah, defensively, Brazil have been excellent through the group stage at this tournament. Only conceded 57 points to Tunisia, 67 to a star-studded Croatian team, but they've conceded 42 at the half here to Mexico, albeit pouring in 53 themselves to lead by 11.
Coach, your team leading by 11 after the first half. What do you have to pay attention to in the second?
There is several things that we need to pay attention. We accelerated too much because I don't like this kind of game. When we are up 15, we don't need to rush the game so hard. So it means that starting to play from the beginning, avoid that slow start like in the first quarter and control the rhythm of the game. When we are up, we don't need to accelerate it. We need to slow down a little bit and make Mexico team more anxious.
Thank you very much.
Brazil's coach, Atso Petrovic, looking to take them to tomorrow's final in his home nation of Croatia. We'll look to get some reaction from the Mexican bench as well here at halftime in Split.
Coach, Mexico down by 11 after the first half. What do you want to see from your team in the second half?
Start the third quarter the same way we started the game and be more consistent. I think if we don't have up and down like we did in the first half, we have a lot of chance to win this game.
Some shots from outside fell in the last minute. How crucial will that be? So you made some shots from outside in the last minute. How crucial is that?
Yeah, we could have finished down by 5, by 6, and Alex did a great shot almost from half court, and that's part of the game. But we'll be right back. We have to play defense, play harder, and we'll have a chance to win this game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And of course, there of Mexico head coach Omar Quintero, and there's Manchester Giants head coach Lloyd Gardner alongside me, Tim Long, for this semi-final in Split. And you get the feeling, he referred to it there in the interview, that last 11.9 seconds potentially pivotal in this game in Brazil's favor.
Yeah, it really was a strange breakdown from Mexico. They had the ball, they could have held on, not even taken a shot, and they would have gone in closer than they are now. So a breakdown for them. It gave that little opportunity for Brazil, who took it through Alex. And it is, as we said, little mental breakdowns or plays like that that so often can be the difference in the scoreboard at the end of the game when we're talking about an elite level as we've got here today.
Talk me through what might be happening in that moment, because they've gone to the bench for a timeout. The coach presumably has looked to draw something up for 11.9 seconds, yet Paco Cruz is taking this shot after 3-4 seconds.
Yeah, well, I think a couple of things. As I said at the time, I wonder if Paco Cruz felt he wanted to get it up early enough to give him a chance to get an offensive rebound, because Mexico are a really good offensive rebounding team. The other thing is, when you're Paco Cruz, and at the time, you know, you're 7 of 10 from the field, you don't believe you're going to miss. So he's thinking, I'm going to take it, because he got a clean look, and he didn't believe that he was going to get a look of that quality a couple of seconds later. So he took it early, believing that he was going to make it, and then there wouldn't be the time for Croatia to inbound it from the end line and get the shot. Sorry, wouldn't be the chance for Brazil to inbound it from the end line and get the shot that they did.
Pero controlar ritmo de juego, estamos arriba, no estamos por debajo del marcador, ¿ok? Primer ataque, Case, ¿ok? La primera, vamos 0, no lo hemos corrido hoy, sin llamarla, ¿ok? Se la damos, jugamos este pick and roll aquí, leemos si hacen el chucheo y eso, ¿ok? Y la siguiente, vamos a jugar indirectos para que no nos jueguen next.
We saw earlier in the game Brazil up by 15 and Mexico closed the gap. They start the second half. Brazil up by 11. Might need to be an aggressive and ruthless first few minutes of the third quarter for Mexico to stay in there. They can't afford to let the lead grow too much to sort of 15 plus points
Brazil have changed their lineups a lot. They're going with Huertas, Alex, Benite, Caboclo and Hetzheimer, which I think is their best five. But we haven't seen this five on the floor very often in this tournament. They haven't needed it. Interesting to see if this is the five that can really, you know, establish the game, build up that lead for them.
And just have so much depth, so many options. Mexico so reliant on Paco Cruz and Gustavo Ayon, who touched the ball first at the start of the second half. Ayon up against Hetzheimer, backing in, spins away mid-ranger, with Hetzheimer sticking to him, tough shot.
See, Hetzheimer doesn't need any help to guard Ayon. He can do a pretty solid job. He's got Alex on Cruz, and then, you know, Benite and Huertas were elite off-ball defenders.
Wide open three for Marcelino Huertas. He's done some good things today, but he's 0 of 4 on the outside now.
But he's got to do that. If he starts making those shots, the game's over. You know, Mexico have got no chance to guard him.
Lovely pass from Stoll into Jaimez, who lands the first blow of the second half. It's a fourth assist of the game for Paul Stoll. Benite to Marcelino Huertas. Stoll standing off him on the perimeter, gets it back, wide open three again, and he does make one. His first on his 5th attempt, but now that really stretches the Mexican defense.
Yeah, I mean, Mexico, what they've done is just dared Huertas to shoot it. He hasn't made many, and now if he starts making them, they've got to change their defense. It's just going to give even more space to guys like Hetzheimer and Benite.
And the lead is 12. Brazil have the ball again. And it's Hetzheimer. He misses the three. Jaimez tipping it to Giron. Down the floor quickly to Stoll. Jaimez on to Ayon. It was bounced back towards his shins and his knees, and he couldn't grab the handle on the ball.
Well, there is not one player on the Brazilian team that hasn't spoken to Hetzheimer about the last shot. Every one of them has kind of turned to him to say, why are you shooting it so early? Let's use the clock and let's force Mexico to chase us a bit.
Hetzheimer with the ball now. Benite. Benite is going to take this three, and he knocks it down, and he has been ultra efficient for his 19 points in 14 minutes on court.
So basically what Brazil are going to do is pass it around until Benite gets it, then he's just going to score. I mean, that is the offense right now, because he is unstoppable.
He's missed just one shot in the game en route to those 19 points. Giron putting it on the floor, turns it over into the hands of Alex. Alex looking to take on Paco Cruz and scores. It's double digits for the 41-year-old Alex.
I don't know if we're going to get to see it defensively, the last possession. But we've talked about Benite, how good he is offensively. And I mentioned about him being an elite off-ball defender. The last possession that he just put on the floor defensively was absolutely pinpoint. He's gone from guarding the ball to switching onto the main threat of Paco Cruz from Mexico, then recovered to his man, and then helped somebody else, all in the blink of probably 2 or 3 seconds. And his rotations defensively caused the turnover that gave Alex the basket.
Largest lead of the game at 17. It's an 8-2 start to the second half in Brazil's favour. Alex up to 11 points. He's 4 of 5 from the field now. And picking up right where he left off after that half-court buzzer beater at the end of the second quarter. So this well-balanced Brazil team continues to roll here in Croatia. You only have to look at the minutes. They've got, what, 7 players between 10 and 15 minutes. The other 4 players that have taken to the court have played 6 or 7 minutes. And then Mexico, 3 players have played 20 minutes. Ayon has played 18. And it's the balance and the quality and the depth and, of course, the character of Brazil that is seeing them pull away right now. Can Mexico reel them back in? They get an open 3 and Stoll misses it.
This is the problem now for Mexico, as this lead, you know, is out to the lead, the position it's in. You need to go relatively quick to try and get back into the game, but as you do that, it just gives more opportunity for Brazil.
Only Benitez's second miss of the game, but he's bailed out by Caboclo on the boards.
Coach Petrovic, watch him on the sideline. He knows this is the point where they can win this game. He's getting fired up.
They are rattled because Paco Cruz has just thrown up an air ball. And it's all going wrong for Mexico now, down by 19.
And again, Brazil just using the clock. This is what Coach Petrovic said he wanted to see from his team.
Hetzheimer locked and loaded and hitting the target, and they're taking out Mexico in the semi-finals.
Yeah, just that poise offensively, so impressive.
And the lead has ballooned to 22.
They've stepped up a level, Brazil, defensively. I mean, offensively, they're just under control now. It's no rush, but look at Caboclo coming in. You know, they're really kind of rotations have really improved in the second half.
Paco Cruz threading it through to Ion up against Caboclo, who smothers Ion. Makes it a tough shot on the second attempt as well. We talked so many times about Brazil's strength in depth. Caboclo's only just started to have an impact on the game. He was their leading scorer against Croatia with 17 points.
Mexico gone to a zone to try and break the rhythm a little here.
Marcelino Huertas, back-to-back triples for him after missing his first 4. And Brazil, relentless and ruthless. Paco Cruz has to go high off the window to try and beat Caboclo, and nothing going down for Mexico. Just 2 points in 4.5 minutes since the restart.
Coach Quintero is going to call his second timeout of this half already. Not even 5 minutes in. That shows you how this game has just absolutely gone from them right now. And you know, Huertas, I know he's hit a couple of threes in these last few possessions, and we've talked Benitez's offensive prowess as well, but those two defensively, when they are on the floor, I mean, just so good. And that's probably the big difference between them and some of the younger guys on the Brazilian team at the moment. Iago can provide that offensive spark. On the ball is a great defender, but just his understanding off the ball isn't as good as Huertas. That doesn't mean it's bad, but Marcelino Huertas is out there controlling everything, talking to other people, telling them where to go, really directing the traffic on the defensive end.
Well, this semi-final is starting to look beyond Mexico now. They're down by 25 points. Brazil. It's a 16-2 second half so far. And they'll try and add to it with Marcelino Huertas to inbound off the back of the timeout. 5.5 minutes to play in the third. Hetzheimer back to Huertas, who just about gathers up against Stoll. Looking for Benitez, bypasses him. Caboclo looking to show his range, and everything right on the money for Brazil.
Caboclo's one who's been super quiet today. He's been very impressive in the other games, but just, you know, anonymous so far.
Yeah, 17 points, 8 rebounds against Croatia. Stoll into Ion, denied by Alex. Look at the reaction from him as well. We've talked about the potential of the last Samba. At 41, you almost feel like you could play another 10 years.
Yeah, we were talking before the game. It's an old Brazilian team, but they don't look old in any way. They're so conditioned, you know, in great shape.
A rare basket for Orlando Mendes, who's really struggled so far at this tournament. He was 3 of 15 from the field before that one across the 3 games. Here's Alex on the offensive end, poked away. And in fact, they turned it over.
He's wide open as well, Alex. You see it here. He'd scored before he caught the ball.
Stoll. Edging his way into the strike. Ayong. He gets the and one.
Chima just not quite back quick enough, even though he's complaining. He didn't quite establish position. I think that's a good call from the official.
Again, he struggled to score efficiently. Gustavo Ayong 4 of 11 for his 10 points so far. He's only 2 of 6 from the foul line. A man who won a couple of EuroLeague titles, 4 Spanish titles with Real Madrid. A former all-EuroLeague second teamer. Actually led that competition in 2-point percentage at 70% back in 2016-17, but he's shot under 50% in this tournament. Caboclo had Hetzheimer completely free for a moment. Caboclo back out. Marcelino Huertas, final 7 seconds of the shot clock. He takes the deep 3. Not that time. Caboclo explodes for the rebound, but can't cling on to it, and Brazil actually will keep the ball. Much to Mexico's dismay.
Oh, he's got a point, hasn't he? Ball style adamant is come off the foot. Referee's going to talk about it. And it clearly did. We obviously have the benefit of seeing it for a second time. Call it jump ball, saying they're not sure. That gives it back to Mexico. So we've got the right possession, but Mexico will lose the possession arrow now.
Down by 24, 4 minutes of the third to play. Stoll. Dancing with Marcelino Huertas. And the foul called in the end. It is only the second of the quarter on Brazil. Second on Huertas. Feisty America's matchup. Offensive foul against Ayong.
Haven't heard much of Paco Cruz in this second half, have we? Need to try and find a way to get him the ball in Mexico. He's only scored 6 points. He's got to be the guy, get some touches.
Benite has to get over centre court, passes to Alex just in time. Marcelino Huertas, 3 assists so far in the game, finds Alex, 11 points, taking on Paco Cruz. And a foul.
Just the way Brazil have shot the ball, you can see the Mexican defense just kind of edging out further and further as this game goes on, giving more space for drives like that from Alex, more pressure on the one-on-one matchups.
And Brazil have hit 14 three-pointers now. Still 13.5 minutes to play. Mexico playing some defense though and forcing that turnover. Paco Cruz looking for options. He gets it back now playing the half court. Low catch adjustment. Ramos off the mark for 3. Hetzheimer the rebound. Marcelino Huertas getting away momentarily from Stoll. Mexico trying to hunt the ball down in packs, but Brazil still emerging with it. Benite got the defense up in the air, step forward to the perimeter and knocked down yet another three-point shot.
Just so under control, Benite. Looks like he's just out for an afternoon stroll.
19 points, make it 22 now. He's 6 of 8 from downtown. Ramos responds for Mexico. But they're eating Brazil's dust right now. 24 the deficit. Alex misses, grabs his own rebound, back out. Caboclo wide open for three. Perfect arc, perfect line. And Brazil the perfect team here in Split.
Foot was on the line, but they've made 15 threes already, Brazil.
Stoll slipping, recovers his balance and the handle on the ball. Misses the shot though. Ion the rebound. Mendes. Pass Benite, confronted by Caboclo, misses his shot. And a hard fall for Ramos as the ball bounces beyond the baseline and into Brazil's possession.
Mexico trying to get it back in a hurry. They need to just calm down, go to Paco Cruz, let him be the one that creates the offense for you. You can get easy, controlled shots in other spots. Yeah, I think this game is, Iago comes in, as long as he can provide that off-ball defense that Huertas is, this game is poising, that Iago's penetration can really, you know, be effective here.
5 assists in 10 minutes in the first half. Here he is now, Iago, the 22-year-old. Benite putting on an offensive shooting clinic so far today. Lean forward, denied at the buzzer by Ion from behind. Stoll, bounce pass, wrong way, opens up for Air Mexico, Gustavo Ion. 25 the margin still though. Hetzheimer off to Benite, Benite to Caboclo. He hit one a moment ago, misses that one, Caboclo. Stoll. Feeds it through, baseline cut, finish on the reverse by Paco Cruz. A little bit of Mexican momentum.
We just haven't said that name enough, Cruz. Nice cut from him, good find from Paul Stoll.
18 points now for Cruz. Hetzheimer up against Ion. Posting up, edging him towards the basket. Misses the shot though. Stoll is going to be an offensive foul, and half a lose. Sat down on the hardwood, pumping his fists in celebration. And even up by 23, late in the third quarter. And that's what defense means to this team.
He was a great defensive player as well. Luz has been impressive in his time. You know, when he's come in, played defense, gave that scoring punch as well in the first half, don't forget.
Luz on the offensive end now, he's got 8 points. Iago to Varejao to Luz. Fakes the pass, goes alone, he's up to double figures.
Yeah, I think that's where he's kind of the point guard position. They try and leave that guard open, force him to be a scorer. Luz is a lot more of an all-round scorer perhaps than the other guys and position.
3 to shoot for Mexico. Ion beats a couple of shot blockers as he finds the angle to get past Varejao and Caboclo. But Mexico still trailing by 23. And a shake of the head from Gustavo Ion as he goes to the bench. It's pretty much Brazil's name in the final.
Forget about the score. We gotta play by possession now. We're down by 11 possessions. Okay? Que no vuelvan al juego, por favor. Vamos.
Well, offensively, they have just been excellent. Brazil over the last 2 quarters, all 3 quarters really of this game, but 29 points in the second, 27 in the third. And Mexico scoring just 15 so far in this second half. Brazil opening up a gap with the outside shooting of Marcelino Huertas, adding to the offense that they had in the first half. And there's no way back from here, surely now for Mexico.
Well, we said Mexico scored 76, 72 in their 2 games. Brazil have already gone over that figure, so it's going to take the largest offensive output for Mexico here in Split to win this one. And you know, I just go back to that halftime, that last 9-10 seconds as well, right before the break, where we talked about it potentially being a 5-point game. It ended up being an 11-point game on in favor of Brazil, and they came out just with so much confidence to just play poised offensively, knowing they had a double-digit lead.
And they get the ball at the start of the final quarter as well. 1 foot firmly in tomorrow's final. Lovely team play. Right out of the gates at the start of the fourth, leading to the score for Varejão. 25 the margin. Stoll finds Mendes in the corner, shifts it on to Cruz. Almost got it off the window. Yago in transition. Mendel. The foul is on the floor. The basket won't count.
Paco Cruz looks a little heavy-legged here at the start of this fourth quarter. First time, kind of said it about him in this tournament. Last couple of shots, shot an air ball 3, and that one off the glass as well.
4 fouls now as well.
Yeah, not surprising. He's had to carry such a load for Mexico. Can he give it one more push for them here in this final quarter?
Yago drew the attention of the defense like moths to a flame. Kick to the corner for the wide open 3 that's nowhere near. Paco Cruz, let's see what he can do down the floor this time. He's fouled. He's got 18 points so far.
Smart foul by Yago. Don't let Cruz get going. You know, whoever Brazil play in the final, I hope they watch this game and watch the other ones to realize you can't go help on Yago Santos the way that Mexico just did, give up the open 3.
Ion completely free for the two-handed throwdown. 16 points now for the captain Gustavo Ion, and Brazil turn the ball over.
Stoll is so good at pressuring the ball. We've seen him pick the pocket of Huertas, then we see him, he didn't take the ball, but causes Santos to turn it over as well.
7 assists and a couple of steals for Stoll. Handling the ball now, pulling up for a 3-point shot, missing it. Back to Paco Cruz. He's going to take it from near a center court. Misses that one. It will take Mexico lighting it up from long range to have any chance in the final 8.5 minutes, surely now. Yago. Around the big frame of Varejão. Finds the NBA veteran who looks for his own shot. Mendel picks up the pieces and scores.
Now you see all those effort plays that Mexico used to win, and now struggling because of, the difference in the score. It's tough to do it when you're down. Yeah, James is going to come back in. I think they could do with his energy.
Mendes takes a 3, and they miss again. The amount of minutes that key players have played as well, not just today, but through the tournament for Mexico. Eventually worn down, ground away by this gritty Brazil team.
And this is it. We talked about, that third quarter almost exclusively for Brazil. It was that core group of Benite, Alex, Huertas, Caboclo, and Hetzheimer. None of those 5 are on the floor now for Brazil. Completely different 5, completely, truly fresh. Cruz is fouled out the game and an offensive foul now. Real problems for Mexico.
Yeah, he's out on 18 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds in 30 minutes. Having shot 8 of 16 from the field.
Paco Cruz should get a standing ovation on his way out, really. That's what he deserves, the way he's played throughout this tournament. Here again today, another good performance from him as well.
30 points in game 1, 21 in game 2, 18 here in the semi-final. It looks like the end of his tournament. Unless Mexico can produce a miracle. Falou's producing on offense right now. 12 points for him.
57% from the field overall from Brazil.
Stoll with the outside shot. Mexico refused to wave the white flag.
It's a great battle to watch, those two going against each other. Stoll and Santos. Stoll makes a 3. Not sure. He wanted to travel against Santos. Referee's called a foul instead. There's a 3. It's blocked off. I couldn't see what actually happened.
A delightful piece of footwork from the 35-year-old to shake off the 22-year-old on the perimeter.
Trouble is, that's the 5th foul on Stoll now as well. So he's going to the bench.
Yeah, the graphic there said 4, but that's 5 on Paul Stoll.
It's because he picked up a technical as well. So Stoll's still in conversation with the referee. It's a disappointing way for him to end his tournament potentially as well.
Paco Cruz fouled out, Paul Stoll fouled out. Mexico down by 27.
Think about this for Brazil as well. Assuming they go on to take this game, there is the opportunity then for them now to rest that group of guys before a final tomorrow.
Iago misses the 3. Giron into Ayon. He misses the shot. Mendel the rebound. He's going to look to try and travel coast to coast. Finds Jorginho, who's coming for the first time. Misses the 3. Varejao offensive rebound, and the tip that will go down for Lucas. Jose Estrada. He lands before he can pass the ball, and he's called for a travel.
What he was doing with the ball, did he? Estrada got himself in trouble. It used to be you were told never jump pass, never leave your feet to make a pass. Now the philosophy a lot more is don't leave your feet without knowing where you're going to pass, and that's what he did. He jumped in the air, then he tried to find the man, and there was nobody free for him.
Brazil are just so diligent defensively that he might have thought he knew where he was going when he left his feet, and the angle was then covered. Jorginho, 25-year-old guard, one of the youngest players on this Brazil team. Back out to Mariano. Mariano, little floater falls short. Giron looking to dish it off in traffic. Wide open 3-point shot, and Orlando Mendes strings it, but perhaps too little too late from him in this tournament.
No, it's got to be Mendes now, without any other real offensive key players on the floor for Mexico. No Cruz, no Stoll, and no Ayon either now.
Brazil have been knocking them down all game long, but they can't get that one to stick with Mendel. 26 the margin. As we enter the final 5 minutes of the game, Mendes back-to-back outside shots for a man who'd struggled before that.
We know he has that ability. Mendes, we've talked about it all tournament long. You know, historically, he's done it for Mexico. He's done it in their domestic league as well. Yeah. Foul against Estrada. I think he's got 4 as well now.
Eventually, Mexico have just ran out of steam at this tournament. Pretty close to Brazil for much of the first half.
Sorry, Tim, it's a bit of a shame, really, for Mexico that it's kind of looks like it's going to fizzle out in this way, because it's been an excellent tournament for them overall. They deserve to take this Brazilian team close.
Mendes misses that one, having hit a couple of threes. Once again, Brazil with a huge winning margin. They've been so impressive here in Split. They can afford to have the bench players out on the floor for the final minutes of the semi-final. The job done early Mendes. That's 3 shots for Mendes over the last few minutes. He's up to 10 points, but all of them coming after the game is done. 23 the margin, final 4 minutes. Iago into Mariano, challenged by Amigo, and then he's eventually fouled and will go to the line. A man who's getting his first taste of international basketball this year at the age of 27. At that age, he's one of the younger players for Brazil. Had 8 points in game 1 in under 14 minutes, didn't play in game 2.
Mariano, one of this new breed of Brazilians that have been, you know, developed within Brazil, played almost exclusively the career in his home country as well. Guys like Iago, Lucas Diaz, Jorginho as well. All of those guys really making a strong domestic league in Brazil.
James inside for the score.
James has been super quiet today, hasn't he? He's been, you know, as you said, he's number 3 in efficiency in the whole tournament here in Split, but today just hasn't had that impact.
Jorginho, key player in the Basketball Champions League Americas with Sao Paulo this season. On to Iago, and Iago hits on the outside. Intercepted down the floor by Mariano. Jorginho. Brazil now with the youngsters on the floor. They turn it over though. Mendes will go to the basket himself, but he's called for a travel as he tried to fake the pass.
The youngsters from Brazil, 25 years of age. But I want to know the S&C program in Brazil, because to keep these guys looking so fresh the way they do, you know, super impressive. The work away from the floor that a lot of them do. Guys like Huertas, guys like Benite, guys like Alex. And the care they must take in looking after their bodies to perform at this level year in, year out.
It is remarkable, but no doubt as well, the strength in depth and the rotation helps them, doesn't it? Because I think at 23 minutes on court, Bruno Caboclo has played the longest for them today. And he's one of the younger players, so the veterans have been able to play effectively half the game or less. With 2 minutes still to play. Mendel trapped on the sideline and turns it over.
I love the passion of this Brazilian team though. 25-point lead, 2 minutes to go. Mendel's frustrated. The ball he didn't get the call.
Mendes misses. Jorginho fizzes to the corner to Mendel for the 3. And he's fouled on the 3-point shot by Amigo. So it won't be in style, but Brazil can hit the century here. You mentioned the mentality of Brazil, and also there the fitness program. It's the mentality of those players, isn't it, as well, that allows them to play to the age of 38, 41 in the case of Alex. Just an elite mad dog mentality and passion for the game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think we can talk about it enough. We've already mentioned it, that the fact that for Alex, the ways in which he's impacting a game, you don't usually associate those ways with a 40-year-old. They're the plays, you know, you associate with young guys in their 20s. those effort plays on defense, things like that, you know, but they're still getting it done. And as we said, Benite and Huertas defensively, perhaps not on the ball in the same way that Alex is, but off the ball, their experience is just, I mean, you can't teach it. In this tournament, it's just unrivaled. The experience of what they've been through, how they've seen it, their understanding of how to play as part of a team really gives a big dimension to this Brazilian team.
And they do have a chance to surpass the century from the floor here. Mariano, little head fake. Tough shot. Key players getting a good rest ahead of tomorrow's final. Here's Willis, who's in to fire the open three. Mariano the rebound. First time we've really seen Diego Willis, the 22-year-old from Mexico. Final minute of the game, another chance to hit the century for Brazil. Iago to Mariano, back out. The pass fake to the corner, the three-point shot goes for Lucas. And Brazil surpass the century in style with some typical team basketball.
There it is, 102 up, the bench. They stood, they liked that one. They're high-fiving already now. They know they are on to the final. Job done, first kind of step achieved for Brazil. They'll just now await to see who they're going to play.
Excellent offense from Orlando Mendes. That's what we've been waiting for from him.
Oh, that's great to see the former coach and player embracing. Credit to Coach Quintero. I think he's done a fabulous job for this Mexican team here in Split. So credit to him, but not quite good enough on the day. Brazil, you know, deserved victors.
And dominant victors yet again. Their biggest win, in fact, of this tournament. As they take down Mexico in the semi-final by 28 points, 102 to 74. Alzo Petrovic's team are going to the one-game final for a chance to make it to Tokyo 2020. And there they will meet either Germany or Croatia, who face off in the second semi-final on this court later this afternoon. They've already beaten Croatia at this tournament by 27. Gustavo Ayon, Paco Cruz and Mexico bow out. Those two in particular having played some fantastic basketball at this tournament. And they can leave with their heads held high. But it is the end of the line for them. Brazil go on. Strong favourites, you'd have to assume, Lloyd, to go to Tokyo 2020 now.
Well, every challenge right now looks an easy step for Brazil. They've been very effective indeed in the way that they've played. I've been super impressed with everything. You know, come into the game, and I'm sure Mexico would have known they needed to control that tempo. They needed to control the Brazilian offense, but easy to say, hard to do. They just couldn't slow down the Brazilians, could they?
Dominant once more. And their biggest offensive haul of the tournament. The first time we've seen a team hit the century mark. As we take a look at the top scorers, 22 for Vitor Benite. His biggest haul of the tournament, 12 for Luz, 11 for Alex Garcia. Mexico led by the 18 of Paco Cruz.
Now, and the thing for Benite, 22 points, 3 assists, 21 minutes. Just incredible from Benite. You know, the thing for me, we said during the game, Mexico's 2 games so far before this one, 76, 72 points scored. So an average of 74. What did they score today? 74. So that was always going to be the figure Mexico were going to hit. The challenge was could they hold Brazil to around that figure? And, you know, we knew from the first quarter it was going to be a challenge. Coach Petrovic, he knew at various points, like, how key it was. Brazil, whenever they needed, they just had that extra gear to go to. And I think that lineup they started the third quarter with is the best lineup that we've seen here from any team in splits. That combination of Huertas, Benitez, Alex in the backcourt, and the front line of Caboclo and Hetzheimer really rolling for Brazil when they needed them.
Just offensive weapons and defensive doggedness all over the court for Brazil. And throughout the depths of the roster, only 3 scorers in double figures today. The 22 Benitez, 12 for Luz, 11 for Garcia, but a group of players beneath that on 9. They had 9 from Mendel, from Hetzheimer, from Caboclo, 8 as well from Yago. Different players can step up and have stepped up through the 3 different games here. That's what makes it so difficult for opponents to guard them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many weapons, and not just different weapons, but different ways to beat you as well. They've got the power game, where we saw them going to the inside, even with Alex as the post option early. They've got great three-point shooting. They're exceptional in transition. They've got creative players. You know, there's nothing really that they don't have. And I think that's the problem that other teams come to face. Even today, Mexico, they decided they were going to try and force the point guards of Brazil to beat them in pick and roll, in scoring. And Huertas, when needed, steps up, hits the couple of threes. Lutz comes in, he has double figures, he has 12 points. You know, so every way you think, oh, well, this is what we're going to try and do, this is what we'll force them to beat us with, Brazil seem to have the ability to do it.
And it's one thing having the talent, having the weapons. It's an entirely different thing getting them all playing together cohesively and in full flow, and they look like a team that just want to play for each other at both ends of the floor.
Yeah, and I mean, we keep saying about the strength and depth, but you've got to understand, we're talking about guys then who are stars at the domestic level, stars for their club teams, now taking second fiddle. A guy like Mendel, who started throughout the season in the ACB, arguably the best domestic league outside of the NBA, and now he's coming as a 7th, 8th, possibly 9th man for this Brazil team.
Brazil hard-working, humble, and honed in now on tomorrow's final as they beat Mexico by 28, 102-74 in the first semi-final here. Germany, Croatia to come to see who meets Brazil in the final for a place at Tokyo 2020. We'll see you later this afternoon for that second semi-final here at the Olympic Qualifying Tournament in Split.
Victor, congratulations to the victory for reaching the final in this Olympic qualifying tournament. How satisfied are you after with the performance of your team?
I cannot say much. I think the team played with a really amazing mindset. You know, every player had the focus on what we had to do during the game. And I think this team is all about this effort, trying to make the other player do better. And I think the intensity that we're putting into the game is making us play with happiness. You know, it's kind of our style. So I think it's the way to do it. And I hope we can continue on the next game, because whoever we play is going to be really tough. And right now it's 0-0. It doesn't matter what we have done. So just got to think forward.
Third game, third convincing victory. No matter who comes, you're well prepared for the final, I guess, no?
No, yes, I think we are well prepared, but we got to know that, these percentages that we had so far, maybe they're not going to happen.